Hello there. I want to talk a little bit about why I feature cheap knives on this playlist. And first of all, I want to say that there's a ton of knife sharpening channels on YouTube. You ought to go look at them. Okay? A lot of the knife sharpening channels on YouTube, though, these guys, you'll see a lot of things like Benchmade or some of the other higher priced knives, some custom knives, some semi-custom knives, handmade knives, all kinds of things like that. And understand that if you can afford that kind of thing, a finely made knife is a thing of beauty. Okay? It is. And if you can afford to buy a really finely made knife, you ought to. Especially if you've never tried a really finely made knife before. They're just a lovely thing to have, a lovely thing to use. So I'm not knocking them, and I'm not knocking or criticizing anybody's channel that might feature knives like that. You'll also see a lot of like mid-range stuff, SC, and some of the other brands, okay? But you seldom see on like serious knife sharpening channels really cheap knives, like a $5 knife made in China or Taiwan or a $10 knife. You don't see that very often because frankly a lot of guys in the knife community, they're really into different kinds of, especially like the modern steels. They're really into the way a knife is constructed, the finer details. That's wonderful. Okay? I'm geeking out about stuff like that, looking for finer details, wanting the best that you can afford. There's nothing wrong with all that. But this sharpening playlist is not about that. This is for the average person that doesn't really know a ton about knives. Okay, they just got an edge or 2 or 10 that they want to keep sharp. And they're using things like the little ceramic rods or the magic chef or whatever it's called, the electric chef knives. Don't put your knives in that crap. Okay, learn how to sharpen. Learn how to freehand sharpen your edges. Okay, but they're looking for, instruction on how to get a good working edge on their knife, a sharp flipping edge. And they're not as worried about, making a bevel so shiny that you can read the newspaper in it or anything like that. And so my page is more geared toward, or my playlist here, this playlist is geared more toward that kind of thing. It's also geared toward, the average ordinary person that doesn't have a lot of money to spend on knives. They can't buy a $60 knife. They might be able to buy a $30 knife or a $20 knife or whatnot. They might not know the difference. Okay? They're just looking for an edge. And the thing of it is, they're out there and they don't have to cost very much. Now you're not going to pull like something like this, the little shield thing that's going on it, but like this right edge here, you're not going to pull that out of your pocket. People aren't going to go, "Ooh, what a wonderful knife." Okay, that's not going to happen. But if I can sharpen this knife and put a nice edge on it, and it works for me, then it doesn't matter. Okay, and the thing of it is, and this is a knife I use the sheep's foot blade in it for a marking knife for woodwork, and it works great for that. But it's softer steels, cheaper steels. They won't hold an edge as long as the more modern steels, things of that nature. And by the way, you can buy stuff like a Buck and Case and Schrade and stuff like that are made with the softer steels too. And they're not going to hold the edge like the modern stuff either, but they'll cost you more. And there's nothing wrong with that. they're made nicely. It's particularly things like Buck and Case. If you buy their USA made knives, they're well made knives, and I'm a fan. Okay, but you know, they're not going to hold an edge much longer than probably something like this. They're just not. What do you need a knife for? If I'm going up into a mountain, if I'm a mountain climber, or I'm a soldier, or I'm a rescue personnel, or the police, or you know, anything like that, an outdoorsman where, you know, I'm going to take a knife into the woods and I'm going to use it for a variety of different things in order to not survive, because there's very few people that are actually surviving in the woods. They might call themselves a survivalist, but they're not really surviving. And, you know, they got a job and they got money and they got a home, and they just go out in the woods every now and then and practice stuff like that. But if you're going to do the bushcraft and all of that, you might need a better knife than these kind of knives. But one of the things that I would say about that is, like, using a knife like this or some of the other cheaper knives, keeping a sharp edge on a knife is more about edge maintenance than it is about the steel. Because you can get knives that are made out of all kinds of steels that are cheap. Okay, the difference is going to be in the heat treat and tempering process of that steel. I can find the nicest knife steel, and that's subjective, that you could ever find, and if I screw up the heat treat or the tempering process, it's not going to be any better than something like this. It's going to suck. Okay, so, but this channel is about the average man or woman. Okay, and average daily things people do with edges. And so that's why you'll see a lot of that here. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not making any excuses for it. That's just, this knife is geared toward that. Now, will I have nicer knives on here? Yeah. If I get nicer knives, you know, the nicer, what I consider nicer knives that I own, you know, they'll be featured on this channel. But there's going to be a lot of the cheaper stuff, because what it is I'm not so much concerned about showing look at my beautiful knife that I'm sharpening, than I am concerned with, look, this is how you get a knife sharp. Because that's what I'm trying to teach here. Alright, come along for the ride if you'd like. If you don't like, you know, that kind of thing, then go find somebody that you like to watch. I don't have any problem with that. But if you want to learn how to sharpen a knife, if you want to, just because a lot of times I just like to sit and watch people sharpen, and I don't really give a flip what they're sharpening. So if you're somebody like that, come along as well. But I just wanted to make this little video to kind of set the mood of this channel, so that you know what we're doing. All right, bless you. Later.